Hartigan.
Good evening. You're still here. It's an honor for me to preside over the concluding plenary of this 8th Skoll World Forum and to be a partner with the Skoll Foundation in its conceptualization and celebration. Although I've been here at Oxford for only 2 years, I've been coming to the forum every year, except for one, since it first took place in 2004. And over these 8 years, the most notable feature of the Skoll World Forum's evolution for me is how closely the program content and delegate mix mirror what's been taking place in the field itself. Most significantly, the program reflects our recognition that while it takes individual entrepreneurs to make change happen, their innovative approaches must be supported by a host of other stakeholders who may not be aware of them. Stakeholders that include the public, the corporate, academic, media, and philanthropic sectors. And while we still have a lot of work to do in engaging many of the skeptics in these sectors who question the large-scale impact of these change agents, the imperative to showcase and amplify innovative solutions to the global problems we face grows every day greater. Hence, our strategic focus on an ecosystem approach in generating widespread social change. In the moments I have before introducing to you our stellar contributors to this closing ceremony, I'd like to reflect very briefly on what an ecosystem approach actually entails. It asks much more of us than engaging in private-public partnerships, where each sector comes to the table with its own set of interests. To adopt an ecosystem approach changes the way our societies have been developed over the last 200 years, during which individuality and singularity have been increasingly emphasized, even whilst the world becomes ever more interconnected and interdependent. The most important characteristic about an ecosystem approach is that it puts the change we seek to effect at the center of how we operate. It demands an engagement among stakeholders that surpasses organizational and personal egos. An ecosystem approach is not about you, it's not about your organization. It's about the issue we're trying to address together with others. It requires a complete mind shift, but it is urgently needed. It's an urgently needed mind shift, and it's the only way that we're ever going to affect wide-scale systems change that addresses the root causes of the seemingly intractable problems that we face today. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin offers a compelling and complete vision of what an ecosystem approach entails and the promise it holds for humanity. A paleontologist and a philosopher who happened to be a Jesuit priest, he wrote The Phenomenon of Man, which was published posthumously in 1955. At the risk of simplifying a very complex book, Teilhard de Chardin believed that to be truly itself, humanity must advance in the direction of convergence, and that to be truly a person means leaving conscious and assertive individuality behind. I quote, "To be fully ourselves, it is the direction of convergence with all the rest that we must advance towards the other. The peak of ourselves, the acme of our originality, is not our individuality, but our person. And according to the evolutionary structure of the world, we can only find our person by uniting with others." Teilhard de Chardin envisaged the process of convergence as commensurate with the evolution of the human spirit. It is a phenomenon that cannot be reversed. I think most of us in this room would agree with this philosopher's vision, given that the way social entrepreneurs embrace the notion that we are embarked in a collective endeavor that has no historical precedent in its ambition. It is an ambition not focused on getting the most for ourselves, but rather to contribute the most to the world and to recognize and celebrate the contribution of others. As we know, to embrace an ecosystem approach is anything but simple. There are complicated tensions in advancing towards convergence. Social entrepreneurs and those of us who work closely with them struggle with those tensions every day. And as a result of the growing shortcomings of the systems and practices we have taken for granted and want to continue believing in, but uncomfortably realize we can no longer count on to solve the looming challenges before us. Our world has become way too complex, and where we're headed seems less clear than ever before. Stephen Green, an ordained Anglican minister, former chairman of HSBC, and now UK Minister of Trade and Environment, acknowledges our discomfort with ambiguity and uncertainty, noting that the way we deal with these is by seeing refuge in separating the worlds in which we operate. In other words, we compartmentalize the spheres of activity that comprise our lives. Compartmentalization allows us to simplify and separate the rules that apply to how we operate in our work life from those that apply to how we operate with our families, our communities, and our spiritual life. As he says, compartmentalization, dividing life up into different realms with different ends and subject to different rules, is a besetting sin of human beings. I now work primarily with graduate students, specifically those who seek business-related careers. Many of them are avidly searching for careers where they can contribute their business savvy and other talents to improve human welfare. They don't want to wait till they're 50 to give back. And so they're looking to those who have successfully been able to bring the multiple spheres of life together from the outset. Some MBAs are entrepreneurs themselves, while others, like young adults everywhere, seek to contribute to endeavors that are fundamentally innovative, philosophically positive, and morally compelling. So how do we rewire our systems and practices and our mindsets to bring us towards greater convergence rather than fragmentation of effort? That, for me, is the great challenge before us, no matter where our life journeys take us. That is what we aim for when we underscore the importance of supporting ecosystems for the entrepreneurial leaders who pursue transformational systems for change for human benefit. This evening, we have the honor of having with us leaders who have refused to separate their professional from their personal life and passion. And they have done so with consistency, with humility, and with integrity. They are proof positive that it is possible to find completeness and balance as we go through life, although I confess I haven't gotten there yet. Lord David Sainsbury has had successful careers in business, politics, and philanthropy. In that way, he is himself a human ecosystem driving large-scale change by working through multiple networks. Indeed, rather than engaging sequentially in each of these spheres and at different points in his life, as many do, he did not wait until he'd made his money to give back. Rather, at the age of 27, Lord Sainsbury founded the Gatsby Trust, using an approach deeply informed by science, his passion. His impact has been significant, and he continues to drive cutting-edge research and knowledge, particularly in the field of neuroscience. Lord Sainsbury will be joined in conversation with Bridget Kendall, the BBC's award-winning diplomatic correspondent who covers top foreign stories for radio, television, and online news. She is also host of the Forum, the BBC World Service Global Exchange of Ideas program. Most importantly, British is an Oxonian and attended 2 Oxford colleges, Lady Margaret Hall and St. Antony's. She also has degrees from Harvard and Moscow universities. Please join me in welcoming Lord David Sainsbury and Bridget Kendall.